At long, long last, Newcastle United are winners. The Geordie nation has its hands on a trophy. Eddie Howe can walk on the River Tyne. 56 years since the last time. 7 long decades since last. They painted Wembley black and white. The curse is broken. The famine is at an end. All the lads and lasses there, all with smiling faces. And it was the local hero who set them on their way. And there will be no quenching the tears. Alan Shearer, sweet 16 again. And Bruno Guimarães is with Patrick on the pitch.
Bruno, tears of sadness 2 years ago, tears of absolute joy now. How does it feel?
73 years. It's a lot for these fans. They deserve everything. When I first came here, I said, I want to put my name in the club's history. And that's it. After 73 years, we can now say we are the champions again. The fans deserve everything. It's one of the best days of my life.
They had already taken you to their hearts, but look behind you. Look at what you've done for them.
I don't have any words. It's one of the best days of my life. They deserve it. I said, for them, this is like the World Cup, you know. People's died, people's growing up, and they have not seen Newcastle champions, and now they are seeing, you know, we are here to make history. I'm very happy. My first year as a captain of this club, and this is one of the best days. The team, the fans, the owners, we deserve this, man. We deserve. Look at this. This is unbelievable.
And just lastly, look, you came here without a word of English, maybe not knowing so much about the club, but you've made yourself a Newcastle hero. Your boys were born in the city. How much do you care about them?
This is my second home. Since when I signed for the club, from the relegation, Champions League, and now champions. I think we are making history. Someday when I will leave this club, I want the fans sing my name the same they do to Shearer today. You know, when we have seen him in the tent today, gave you his power. He texted me before the game. Yeah, that's it. I'm so emotional today.
Well done. You're a hero now.
Thank you.
Shay Given, these are special, special scenes if you are part of the Toon Army.
Oh my God, I didn't kick a ball, Mark, but that last 8 minutes or whatever, 10 minutes of extra time, I was going through the ringer over there, my heart was racing out my chest. What a day. I mean, 70 years is just unbelievable. I was getting emotional myself just seeing the faces of the fans and the players and the celebrations. It's just, I don't know, it's all bottled up in this one moment. We've waited so long for this trophy, for any trophy, and it's just a special, special moment.
Standing next to you in the mouth of an entrance to the pitch, Les Ferdinand, by the Newcastle fans, I thought you and most of them were going to be sick during that last 10 minutes.
Yeah, you know what, I was here 2 years ago, and the side lost to Man United 2 years ago, and these supporters stayed right to the end and clapped them off the pitch. I've been part of a group that lost here in the Charity Shield 4-0, and we got clapped off the pitch by these guys. I am so happy for these supporters to be able to come to Wembley tonight and win and go home and celebrate. They'll be celebrating till the cows come home, and they deserve it, because it's absolutely magnificent. Just look at them. Just look at them.
And we saw Eddie Howe there, Shay, and do you know what? We're going to hear from them all, and we'll see the trophy lift and everything for as long as we're here at Wembley over the next hour or so, however long that may be. But when all those Newcastle players went to support, Eddie Howe went round every single member of that Liverpool team and shook their hands before he went to join the celebrations.
Well, it just shows the class of the man himself. First major trophy for him as a manager, and he's thinking about the opposition because he's been there a couple of years ago. He's been on the losing side. He knows how it feels, but take nothing away from his celebrations now. You know, there's a statue at St James's Park of Bobby Robson. Maybe they'll start building one of Eddie Howe. He's done such an amazing job. He's united the city, he's united the club, and he's gone on from strength to strength. The first trophy now, hopefully it's the first of many.
They are not going to want to stop celebrating here at one end of Wembley. Dan Burn with the first goal. There are tears wherever you look, whether that be on the pitch, whether that be in the crowd. Alexander Isak getting the second goal. They got a little bit worried towards the end. And Liverpool are already up, going to pick up their runners-up medals. And Jamie Carragher, it wasn't their day at all today, was it? It never really got going.
No, I mean, Newcastle didn't just win today, they battered Liverpool, really, and they should have been 3 or 4-0. Liverpool got, a consolation at the end. I find it difficult to be too critical, considering, what this team have sort of looking like they will go on to achieve this season, which was something that probably not many people expected. But, I mean, Liverpool were poor in Paris Saint-Germain, but you can understand in terms of the opposition they were against. Newcastle are a good Premier League team, but they've absolutely wiped the floor with them, and Liverpool's legs have just ran out of steam, and just from their point of view, thankfully they've got a decent lead in the Premier League, and hopefully they'll be able to see that home.
We'll talk a lot more about Liverpool in a little while. The cheers you can hear are because the pictures you are seeing, the Newcastle fans are seeing as well. So they saw the engraver Les putting Newcastle United onto the trophy. They see Dan Burn holding up his winners 25 shirt, which has got Sam Fender written underneath as well. They are seeing exactly what people are seeing at home.
Yeah, no, fantastic. They've waited a long time. And we spoke about at the start of the show, 70 years since they last tasted victory here at Wembley, and they're going to enjoy this. They're going to stay here. I don't think we'll get out of Wembley tonight. I'm not sure we'll get out of London tonight, but they deserve their celebrations today.
Look, if you are connected to Liverpool, this is a disappointing afternoon. But aside from that, you'd either have to have a heart of stone or be a Sunderland fan to not feel some kind of warmth and joy for the fans in particular of this football club.
Absolutely, Mark. They've had a lot of pain. They've had to really suffer. They've been at Wembley many times and things haven't gotten their way, not performed at this level. I think Shay said it right at the start of the show. He said it just feels different this time. 2 years ago they were here. It was almost like they were making up the numbers. But from minute one, I remember Bruno Guimarães running onto the pitch before the game started. I was like, wow, he means business. And so did his team. They won every second ball. They were much better in possession. They got all the right details of the set pieces. They exploited Liverpool's weaknesses, and they were fantastic today. I must admit, so you have to congratulate them. Liverpool hopefully will, obviously I'd love to see them get that league title wrapped up, but you have to congratulate what Newcastle have done. They were magnificent today.
Did it surprise you? I mean, Jamie Carragher said they battered Liverpool today. Did it surprise you how dominant they were for large periods of that game?
I think the energy levels seemed to be higher than Liverpool. Obviously, Liverpool had extra time midweek at Paris Saint-Germain. I was saying to Jamie off air, I was surprised that Arne Slot didn't change it against Southampton between the two Paris Saint-Germain games to freshen his squad up. They did look a bit flat, a wee bit tired today, Liverpool. But I just don't want to talk anything else of the Newcastle, the levels they performed. I mean, Joelinton was all over the park, covered every blade of grass, and he was celebrating tackles like he was scoring goals at times, and that lifted the fans. And I don't know, Mark, you can't say anything negative with this Newcastle team. I mean, to see the engraver on the trophy do that was just something special as well.
And as you can see, they've changed their shirts. They have winners 25 shirts on as they go up those steps. Peter Drury.
Well, thank you, Mark. And just think of the greats, the generations who haven't had these moments in a Newcastle shirt. It didn't happen for Super Mac or Terry Mack or Keegan or Waddle or Gascoigne or Beardsley, for Ginola or Ferdinand, Shay Given, Super Alan Shearer. None of them got what these guys are getting now. How proud, you can't help reflecting, would Bobby Robson be in this moment? 70 years of Newcastle people who didn't experience what Bruno Guimarães and crew are going to experience now.
No, it's absolutely magnificent. It really is. Those fans behind that goal, a lot of them, most of them, never seen silverware, never seen Newcastle United win a trophy, which is just incredible. But that's about to change, and they're going to see the captain and the manager lift silverware for the first time in 56 years, the first time in 70 years. I know we keep repeating it, but for a club the size and scale of Newcastle, in my first 10 years doing this job, it was so sad going up to St James's Park. The atmosphere had gone, but it's back.
Well, they're the 24th different winners of the Football League Cup, the first time winners since Swansea 12 years ago. 1969 Budapest, Joe Harvey, Bobby Moncur and his crew, always revered but no longer the last. And for a Wembley moment like this, 70 years, a whole Geordie lifetime, since a Scottish wing half called Jimmy Schooler was handed the cup by the Queen. And now a big broad boy from Blythe scores a goal, and Newcastle United are winners again. He could reach up and touch the Wembley arch. And there's the man whose privilege it is. Kieran Trippier, captain when they lost a couple of years ago, but ready to share the moment. A winner's medal, and behind him the trophy.
I'm delighted, Ferdy Howe, I really am.
For the first time since forever, in glorious black and white, the winners are Newcastle United. Newcastle's day, and boy is this going to be Newcastle's night. Shares in Newquay Brown are rocketing, big market is where it's at, and let tomorrow morning look after itself.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Not what we expected at the start of the day, but those Newcastle fans, I drove up this morning, thousands of them on the motorway, taking them 5 and 6 hours to get here, and their dreams have come true.
Well, Mark, for how many years, for our lifetimes, we have asked ourselves the question rhetorically and out loud, what will it be like when Newcastle finally win one? We're finding out.
Very nice, Peter and Gary, and we are finding out, and we are going to find out over the coming days as well, because these celebrations are going to last and last and last. And you can see Shearer on the big screen here, which is why they're cheering. With about 15 minutes ago, I texted him, "Are you calm?" I can't tell you what he replied. Again, it's taken off there. It is kind of, I know it's hard if you've got the Liverpool connections, but as regards English football, the more teams that win trophies, the better, really.
No, I've said that for a long time. I mean, the way the game's become, there's too many teams now. I'm talking about big teams, and Newcastle being one of them, but not anymore. I've gone too long without winning a trophy. You think of Tottenham, you think of Aston Villa, you think of Everton, Newcastle before. These are huge football clubs, and obviously, I'm good that Liverpool didn't win today, but if there was any team that you'd probably accept or be happy to lose to, it's probably Newcastle, because they've gone so long, they've got a support, huge support, real passion for the game up in the North East. So As I said, yeah, it's a tough one to take. If you're going to lose to anyone, it's probably, I'd probably say Newcastle.
We do so many of these games. Take them seriously, because this is what can happen.
Absolutely, and even throughout this tournament, throughout this competition, I remember watching, I did both semi-finals where they were incredible against Arsenal. They bashed them, they got after them, they were aggressive. And what I like about this Newcastle team is they're almost a bit of a throwback with obviously that new school and being great at all the right details, but they get the ball forward, they win second balls, the midfield's aggressive, they've got people like Joelinton and Guimarães in midfield. Dan Burn has been absolutely magnificent at the back. It's really refreshing to see, because week in, week out, I see teams playing out from the back, playing at the goalkeeper, and sometimes it can drive you insane. But this Newcastle side, under that man there, are really refreshing. It's really exciting to see, and I'd like to see teams that do play like this get success, because it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. It's just you've got to play with that energy that Newcastle do play with.
People may think as well as, you know, you lot in the media bang on about Newcastle not having won a trophy for so long, but since they last won one, 31 teams in the football pyramid have won trophies. That's why we banged on about it.
Yeah, and they've been so close on so many occasions. And as Jamie said, it's you know, you see Newcastle as a big team, and if you see people as a big team, a lot of people say, well, it's about the trophies that you win that make you a big team. And Newcastle haven't been able to do that. The fan base is unbelievable, and hopefully this is the start of a journey that they go on, and it's going to be. You always need that first win, and they've got that now, and hopefully they can take that on and to win more things.
He said, didn't he, right at the start when he took over, the aim is to win a trophy. That's what Eddie Howe said.
I think Led's right. This can be a springboard for what happens next, what happens in the summer recruitment. They can attract new players. Can they compete in the Champions League? Can they get in the Champions League this season? And invariably, I think the new ownership, they want to win the Premier League at some point. I know that doesn't happen overnight, but this is the sort of improvement season after season. I just feel this group of players now, after getting their hands on the silverware today, the amount of pressure that's eased as much as anything. As if someone just took the lid off a pressure cooker, the pressure's eases now. And I think teams in the past, getting that first trophy under the belt is massive.
And the one thing they were talking about was Eddie Howe. If he didn't win today, would there be question marks over him? Because you've now gone to 2 finals, you've got into the Champions League, but you still haven't won anything. Now everyone can relax and allow him to carry on doing the job that he's doing, because he's done an absolutely fantastic job here with these Newcastle players.
But when you build a football club, it's progression, it's small steps, isn't it? And their trajectory is going only one way.
Yeah, but this is a massive step. I mean, the Eddie Howe and these players are legends. That's it. It's done in some ways. No matter what happens next with Eddie Howe and this team, they will always be remembered for this. I know what Shay's saying, but we know with the new rules now with PSR, it's difficult in terms of just going out and doing what Chelsea did or Manchester City did originally. So that makes it more difficult. But I mean, for Eddie Howe, I mean, Gary said before how pleased he was for him. I absolutely love Eddie Howe to bits. I think he's a brilliant coach. He's been on a brilliant journey. And Jamie mentioned about the style of play. Eddie Howe was always hammered when he was a coach at Bournemouth for playing the type of way Jamie was mentioned. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But I think since he's come to Newcastle, he's massively improved as a coach. He can play different ways. He can play great football. But what they did today was physically absolutely batter Liverpool.
And there they go with their second trophy lift of the afternoon. They were waiting for Eddie Howe to join them. The champagne has popped, the streamers are going, and Bruno Guimarães, I don't think he's going to let go of that Carabao Cup. He shared the lift with Kieran Trippier, but they are keeping hold of that. And Jamal Lascelles is in there as well as one of the other leadership groups who is out through injury at the moment. And Jamie Redknapp, Eddie Howe, comes the first Englishman to get his hands on the trophy as a coach since your dad.
That's nice. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. It's actually sad when you think about how long ago that was. I think they went, well, Portsmouth, they were here many years ago. But Eddie deserves it. You know, he's been a brilliant coach. He's so forward-thinking. The job that he's done here. At times they've had their hands behind their back as well, because they haven't perhaps had the finances that everybody expected them to have, but they've done it so well. And he's improved players, like what he's done with Joelinton. Joelinton was, no disrespect, they were signed as a number 9, didn't work out for him. He's turned into a midfield powerhouse, and that's such credit to the manager. Today, they have no Anthony Gordon, no Hall, didn't matter, not one bit. They were absolutely brilliant today and fully deserved this win.
Not a single Newcastle fan has left Wembley here. They're playing Sam Fender, and they have been singing it to the players, and the players have been singing it back to them. And Eddie Howe, Shay Given is in the thick of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing scenes. The owners, you can see the owners are in there as well. The whole club, a lot of the backroom staff that don't get credit at times as well, work their socks off morning, noon and night for moments like this. And obviously Newcastle have had to wait decades for this situation. Even the club photographer Shireen has just jumped in there at the end. They've seen a lot of hurt over the years, and they're going to enjoy this day, this moment, and that man in the picture. I can't speak highly enough of the job Eddie Howe's done. It's just such a special day for the club, really.
Shay, do you think he'll enjoy the moment more than Jason Tyndall?
Well, we've not seen shots of Jason yet. He's probably got his... Oh, there he is.
He, in amongst all this emotion, tactically, Eddie Howe got it spot on today, and especially with set-piece routines as well. You know, taking all the emotion out of it.
Well, for a long time, I think Eddie Howe's been the best manager in the Premier League at set-pieces. Even going back to his Bournemouth days, he always had something up his sleeve. And listen, rightly, this guy was man of the match. I mean, what a week he's had. Absolutely delighted for him. And here, you know what? When you think about it, an example to every player, not at the top level, up and down the leagues. You think of the journey that man's been on. Man of the match in a major cup final, and also got that England call-up. I'm really pleased for him.
Eddie Howe has put an earpiece in, so I'm hoping that he's going to be able to hear us in amongst the cacophony of noise. You can hear me, can you?
Just about.
Just about.
I've got you.
Emotions, can you put it into words?
Very, very emotional. I've been emotional all day, to be honest, which is very unlike me, sort of around the game day. But we just knew what was at stake today for all the people here, all the people back in Newcastle. We just wanted to do them proud. We were desperate to try and win the trophy after all the years of hurt, and I'm so pleased, not just with the result, but the performance. I thought we deserved the win today.
We've talked a few times during this Carabao Cup campaign. Did it feel different this time? We talked about it feeling very business-like after the semi-final win. You changed a few things coming into the final. Did it have a different feel around it to 2 years ago?
It did have a different feel. As I said, it was less emotional, even though I could sense the players were where they needed to be. But it's always dictated by the pitch, the result and the performance, because your perception of what goes on before changes afterwards, if that makes sense. So we've won the game and everything will be reviewed positively. But I did think the preparation was really good. I was very confident the players would perform today.
They will have loads of questions for you. Just before they do, when the Liverpool goal was given and there was still 5 or 6 minutes to go, what is going on in your head? Because you still have to remain cool and calm, but the nerves among Shay and Les and your fans, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, that was tough. I mean, it sort of going through my head was loads of different things. Extra time, because any sub you make then carries on. But we always make it difficult for ourselves. It was never going to be a 2-0. You're not comfortable, but relatively comfortable. So when the goal went in, I thought it was a handball. I couldn't understand how it was given, but there you go.
I said before the break, there's a statue of Bobby Robson at the stadium. I think there'll be a statue of you soon after today. I mean, just what you've done for the people in Newcastle, the hurt all those years. I mean, I was there long enough. The pain they've been through, it's just quite emotional to talk about when you see their faces today and how they've got behind you, I suppose.
Yeah, we were well aware of the history, and we wanted to do the football club proud today. We desperately wanted to perform. We desperately wanted to win. We wanted to score. And it's been so long even since we've scored at Wembley. So all those things, we're trying to break new ground, and I think hopefully this is a turning point for us. I thought we were magnificent today. We showed what we are truly capable of.
And you've always been fantastic at set piece from your Bournemouth days. Today, a big detail in the match was the corners, and obviously Dan Burn with McAllister. Was that something that you felt or sensed and obviously worked on, the way you could get some success today?
It's funny with set plays. We've worked consistently on certain set plays for 2 weeks in preparation for this game. And sometimes they come off and sometimes they don't. But when if you'd seen us in practice, you'd go, they've got no chance.
Well, I saw you the first one, you tried to play short, made a mess of that one, but the rest of them, you were playing him into Dan Burton. He was huge.
Dan will be the first to admit he hasn't practiced like that. I mean, when he scored it, we were like, me and Jace turned to each other, we couldn't believe it. But he was, I mean, I thought all the players were magnificent today, but in particular Dan, I thought he was an absolute colossus for us.
Eddie, where'd you go now? I mean, we know this is the start of the journey in terms of winning the trophy. Where do you want to take this team now?
I just want to enjoy it first, Les, if I can. I'm always about tomorrow. I'm the worst.
Can I just say, you ain't got to worry about that, because for the next 7 weeks you will just be enjoying. There'll just be parties in Newcastle.
I'm going to put the coaching books away for a couple of days.
Good.
That's very rare for me to say, and just try and savour it and enjoy the moment.
Eddie, I mean, looking at the game, you completely overpowered Liverpool. You were quite direct in the game. Was that a deliberate ploy, because maybe the games Liverpool have had and they have looked quite jaded of late?
Yeah, I actually thought both teams were quite direct today. We were direct, we had a game plan, but I thought they were, and I thought we dealt with that really, really well. And I think it was a typical cup tie. No one wanted to make a mistake. There wasn't a great amount of pretty football played, but I thought we were really effective in both boxes.
Just a couple more before we let you go and join in the celebrations. When you played Liverpool, 3 weeks ago, something like that, in the league, did you try and keep your powder dry on some things in that game?
Yeah, I can say it now. Yeah, we did, because we didn't want to show our hand. We didn't want Liverpool to get a glimpse of us, so we changed everything. Obviously, I didn't tell the players that, and we still wanted to win the game. We just tried to do it in a different way.
And Dan Burn, I know you just talked about him there, but he was that first wave of signings, those January signings, which were all about getting the right character. Kieran Trippier, another, in that January transfer window. So much still comes back to that window, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, that window, you could see it behind the scenes, that was really, really tough. We were desperately trying to bring good players in, but most importantly, good characters that we knew could outlive the window. It wasn't just about staying up, although that was number one. It was what happens after the window. You don't want to be left with long contracts with players that you're going to outgrow very quickly. So when you look back now, we did unbelievably well in that window, and that's a tribute to everyone involved.
And when you won the first leg at the Emirates, the first thing you did when the final whistle went, you put your hand next to Jason's and went calm. Did you do the same with the final whistle here?
No, I didn't.
Straight
but I think you have to be very respectful of the opposition. I have to say Liverpool were class today.
Well, you went round all the Liverpool players.
Liverpool were class today. I mean, that speaks volumes for them as a football club, how they reacted in that moment. Because we've been there 2 years earlier. It's not easy.
Celebrations tonight.
I think there'll be one or two.
Eddie, I've got two that are very desperate to get to the party tonight, and they want to know where it is. Les and Shay, what is it? A big market? Where are you going to be tonight?
Let me tell you, Jamie, you're speaking to the wrong person. JT's the man.
Oh, Jason, he's a bit shy at the moment, Jason. He's in the middle of every photo. He's absolutely loving it out there, isn't he?
He's been first class for me. I can't speak highly enough of him.
That.
Right, congratulations. Please, thank you for all the time you give us. Go and enjoy your celebrations. ITV viewers going to leave us very soon, so let's just look at the two Newcastle goals. Jamie Carragher, the set pieces, as Eddie said, they may not have done them very well in practice, but they caused Liverpool problems today.
Well, it shows the detail that's gone into it. He said they've been working on it for 2 weeks, so, with the games in and around that, of course, but the big thing whenever you play against Liverpool is keep the ball away from Virgil van Dijk, and that's what they did. And listen, we can talk about who's up against it, but to score a header from there, it doesn't happen too often. It's a brilliant header, but I do think with the success that Dan Burn was getting through the game, Liverpool could have definitely altered things and changed things on that, but it's a great delivery, and from Dan Burn to put it in from there, it's a brilliant header.
I just think Liverpool got it completely wrong with that setup. When you look at McAllister, he has no idea what to do with him. He's not able to get close enough to block him. It is an absolute mismatch. I wasn't the best in the air, but I certainly know someone that was good. If you've got that situation, for you, that's like Christmas Day, right?
That's what you're hoping for, as a forward, as a defender, someone to turn their back on you and you get a run on them. It's a mismatch, and but then you've got to put it in the back of the net, and that's what Dan Burn did. It was an unbelievable header, fantastic.
Let's just look at the second goal as well. In fact, and Newcastle had one ruled out for offside shortly before Alexander Isak put this in.
Yeah, this is brilliant finish. Jimmy mentioned upstairs about watching Isak's movement. It's well worked down the left-hand side, and if you watch Isak's movement, he just peels away from Van Dijk. A brilliant header at the back post from Murphy, but this is a movement of a top striker. That's why lots of clubs are saying we want Alexander Isak. We just keep an eye on him in the middle of the picture there. Watch the way he moves away from Van Dijk now. Just gives himself a couple of yards, and on his right foot, that's not an easy finish. Watch when it bounces down here, Mark. It's just bouncing up to keep that control, to keep that down. That's a brilliant finish.
And the pace he gets at, Les, he manages somehow to just... It is really quick to create that pace up. We've got to be quick here, Les.
We were talking about it. It didn't have a lot of time. It didn't have many touches in the game, but that was the one touch he needed, and it was fantastic.
incredible scenes with Newcastle winning the 2025 Carabao Cup. And the fans are still here, and the noise hasn't gone down, and I've no idea whether you can hear me or not. But you've had quite a good week, haven't you?
Not bad. Yeah. I've had worse weeks. I don't really want to go to sleep because I feel like I'm dreaming, and it's all going to be a lie. But we'll see.
I mean, that was the third corner that had come your way. Yeah. And as it came your way, did your eyes light up?
Yeah, I think so. I knew that Alexis was.
He's from
I knew Alexis wasn't looking at the ball, so I'd be able to get a good jump on him. And as soon as I headed it, I knew it was in. It was just one of them. But I don't get many, so at least I've saved it for a big occasion.
Well, we can show it you. And Eddie Howe was here talking to us earlier. He said it hadn't necessarily gone that way in practice.
He said mixed. I've heard mixed.
Mixed.
No, mixed. But I think I feel sometimes that I get around a lot of bodies and it's sometimes hard to get free, but Barnesy helped us with Alexis here just to put him off a little bit and then just met it and good connection.
I know we talk about the week that you've had and you called up to the England team. You were one of the first players, and we talked to Eddie about this, who came in that January transfer window, and you're back at your local club. I mean, can you put it all into words?
No, definitely not. I feel strange at the minute. I feel numb, like it's hard to put anything into words at the minute, really, to be honest.
I'm not ignoring you. I just had to.
I think it's his game. I think he was brilliant. I mean, if he can score goals, that's great. But the way he defends and the way he wins every duel, that's really, it sets the foundation for us to be able to perform as well.
When you see this, and obviously you've come into the club, not from the area like down, and you see this, and you feel that emotion, what do you think of all of this?
It's amazing, honestly, and I think this is really just the start. I think we'll see so much more from the fans and how much it means for the people, obviously once we get back to Newcastle and so, but we're all aware of how much it means and how long it's been without a trophy, so for us to be able to give the fans that is amazing.
You had one disallowed goal, which you weren't offside, actually. It was Bruno Guimarães who was offside, deemed to have been putting off Kevin Carragher. So this could have stood, depending on the perception of whether he was putting Carragher off or not.
Yeah, I know. I tried to tell the referee that it wasn't
probably
offside.
Should have scored that, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, I didn't like to say, Dan, but
couldn't get a brace, like.
No, it's one of those moments where a bit unlucky, but yeah, worked out well.
You put that out of your mind very quickly, because less than 2 minutes later, and you put Newcastle 2 up.
Yeah, I think these games are about moments, and it's not necessarily about playing really good as a striker. It's about when you get the chance to be ready and to finish it off.
I was just going to say how you felt about that strike, because as you said, we were saying that was going to be a big matchup today, you against Van Dijk, and how it would happen. Probably didn't happen the way you wanted it to happen, but I thought that was an unbelievable strike coming back for someone who hadn't touched the ball as much as you probably wanted to in the game.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think first half was probably a bit frustrating for me. I didn't really have much to work on. But I kept telling myself, and many of the teammates and the staff also told me in half-time that my moment was going to come and I had to be ready. So that was really my mindset. And when I got the chance, I put it in the back of the net, so amazing. Yeah.
What's quite refreshing to hear you say at the very start of the interview is, Alexander, this is the start of something great. So the future, I mean, I said off air as well, said about this is the springboard for the club to go on to the next level, to get more trophies, because you have, these fans have deserved this. It's a long wait, 70 years, and you guys have produced today.
Yeah, for sure. I think when you've been without a trophy for such a long time, it can be in the back of your head. Yeah. But obviously when we now won this, hopefully it's just bright days in front of us.
Yeah.
Do you I just want to show you one other thing in that second half, which was you going on an overlap for about 80 yards. But what it highlighted was the intensity that you as a team had from start to finish.
I think we've talked about it before the game, that we've been really slow starting second halves and really invited pressure onto ourselves, so we didn't want to take a backward step, and think it's more just a mentality. I know the gaffer probably was screaming at us to get back, but
you trying to get your running stats up or something?
So were we. We were screaming at you to get
What's he doing? What's he doing?
Should have slid it in to be fair.
Dan, as weeks go, it's as good as it gets, isn't it? Getting England called up, win the Carabao Cup. But I've heard there's a little bit of bad news that you're not going to be on the trip to Dubai this week.
I tainted it a little bit, but we're definitely taking England call up.
I won't go as well, eh?
Over trip to Dubai.
Are you going?
No.
No, I'm not going.
He's going international as well. I was saying to the lads that would have to make a pact that no one would go on international duty, we'd all go to Dubai, but I'm not trying to do that.
Exactly. Oh, Thomas, if you can maybe train out there.
Is it tomorrow? When do you join up?
Tomorrow morning.
Right.
So
you don't get a pass, do you?
No, definitely not. I'll be there early doors. Might be the first one there. 8 o'clock.
How nerve-wracking did you both find the last 10 minutes or so?
I think probably a bit more nerve-wracking for me because I was off the pitch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like there was a situation where there was a handball, and he probably should have blew that, called it straight away. But then it was a goal, and it's always tough to sit and watch. But yeah, I think the lads that came on really handled it well, and obviously the ones who played as well.
I thought we sorted out well, to be fair, the last few minutes, keeping it in the corner. I think we've struggled with that in the past. And I felt comfortable for a lot of it, but you always know when Liverpool have got the quality to get a goal.
Right, take your trophy. Thank you very much, mate. This is what's happening in your changing room at the moment, which hopefully you can see on the screen here.
Let's get the sun up.
You're not allowed any of that.
I'm not allowed that. I'm not allowed that.
But you all, you go back and enjoy your dressing room, get yourselves warm. Congratulations. See you soon, Dan. Thank you, Alexander, as well. Jamie, as they all go back, saying
have a great week this week.
That intensity, Jamie, and that run highlighted probably the difference in the two teams through no fault of Liverpool's coming off the back of Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, I mean, I just think physically, under Eddie Howe, Newcastle have been a physical, powerful team, intensity, press and playing with pace. They've probably been a little bit inconsistent this season in terms of how they've played in the past years. And they probably haven't come in the best of forms, but they just saved the best until now. Now, Eddie Howe mentioned to us as well that it wasn't a great footballing game. It wasn't. But I think a lot of that was a deliberate ploy from Newcastle because they're probably looking at Liverpool in the last sort of 3-4 weeks, not themselves really in terms of getting some results, not performing really well. But they just couldn't cope intense-wise. And I think there's a lack of pace in the Liverpool front three. That's something that we can maybe, if we get to, listen, it's not Liverpool's day, it's all about Newcastle, but I think that's shone a light on Liverpool a little bit today, that there's a serious lack of pace at times in certain areas of the pitch. But in terms of physically, set piece-wise, duels in the middle of the park, people making runs like Dan Burn, Isak, Liverpool couldn't cope physically.
It was incredible to hear a manager as well, quite refreshing to say that we didn't want to show our hand in a league game a few weeks ago. And it was a brilliant question from you, Mark, because it was something that you very rarely hear a manager say, because I think Alexander Isak didn't play that day, and the way that they maybe set up, just not showing too much of what they were trying to do. And they've built everything up, because their form leading up to this hasn't been probably perfect. Obviously going out the FA Cup, injuries, but the way they responded to that little bit of adversity, it made no difference to them whatsoever.
Dan Burn and Alexander Isak have reached the dressing room. There you go. He's got his dance out. He won't be drinking out of the cup, but he's got his dance and has been sprayed with champagne. Let's bring you more reaction. Joelinton, influential today, some huge tackles for him. And a little earlier on, he caught up with Natalie.
Joe, a moment Newcastle fans waited for decades. You're out here celebrating, you're seeing their faces, the tears. How does it feel?
Nah, it's unbelievable. You can see in my face, unbelievable feeling, unbelievable day. I dream so much with this day. I dream so much every day with this moment. And yes, well done to every player, the coach, everyone, connect the club. Us on the pitch, it was an unbelievable game. We execute what they gave us, unbelievable, and I'm busy. It's no word to say how I'm feeling now.
I remember when you joined Newcastle, it's been quite a journey for you here in this club. Does it make you feel this emotional to think of everything you went through since you joined Newcastle to this moment lifting a trophy?
Yes, and all my journey since I started playing football, to come from the northeast, from Brazil, to where I am today, and make me really proud. And to win for this club make me feel real proud. It's an honor for me to give something back to them. They are unbelievable fans. They support us in every moment, even in difficult moments. Like you said, I'm here almost 6 years. I had bad times, difficult times, but I never give up. I always believe in myself, and so they are. They always believe in us. They always supporting us, and they deserve it. After so long, I hope it's start off a new era for this club.
We're seeing the tears of joy, but we've seen a lot of emotions from you on the pitch. You celebrated every tackle like it was a goal.
Yes, that's the feeling. It's a final. We want to win. It was so disappointing in the last final we came here and lose. And today we knew we could leave anything in the tank, so I have to give everything, every play, and I think we did that. Everyone fight, everyone run. Win the jaws, just show how much we want. And yes, I'm so glad, so happy with the fans. I'm happy to make my family proud, and yes, great day.
And could you give a word on Eddie Howe, because he's been so important in your journey here in this club. He changed your position, you have a great relationship with him. How important has he been to this moment?
Nah, he's great. There's so many words I can just say about him. He's a great person, a great man. Work hard, a man that give everything every day since he joined the club. And yes, unbelievable journey. We come together, and I'm so happy to give him the title as well. Every time I step on the pitch, I give my best for him as well, because he believed in myself. He changed my position since day one. He gave me the confidence to play, and I am so happy to have him here. And yes, unbelievable feeling. He's a great man. I love him.
Joe, enjoy the celebration.
Thank you very much.
Shay Given, that is coaching, isn't it? I mean, he changed his position, and in doing so, changed his Newcastle career.
Yeah, I think Natalie hit the nail on the head. The journey he's been on from the day he was brought in as an attacking player, and Eddie's seen something different that maybe no one else seen. You know, some managers might have parked him and says he's not for me, but he says, do you know what? I can get a player out of this guy. I can get him into midfield. And again, I said before the break, the work rate that Joelinton put in. He's come from the northeast of Brazil to the northeast of England, and he's give everything to the football club. When he crosses this white line behind me, he gives everything for the team, and I think players around him, he lifts players around him as well when he plays.
And that actually gives that midfield exactly the right balance now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has. He's certainly an enforcer in there, and they're very aggressive. You know, Tonali as well has had since he's been to Newcastle, that has been a roller coaster for him. And Guimarães, being the captain, I think he just exudes that energy and belief and aggression that you need to play in midfield. The amount of second balls that he wins, he puts people under pressure every time they play the ball in midfield. He's the first one, but he's also got tremendous quality. And we sometimes question in our league, we go, did the foreign players actually identify with the clubs? Do they understand what it's like to play for a club? But when you see these emotions afterwards, you know full well what it means. And they have just bought into the whole Geordie mentality. They absolutely adore him, Les, don't they?
Yeah. Just with Eddie Howe, you still sense that he's reluctant to actually put the coaching books down and celebrate, don't you?
No,
he took a lot of persuading to even go and take the cup in front of the fans.
He does, and you know what? You talk about him and what he's done with Joelinton and other players, but what he's done, again, one of the big things he's done this season is he's switched the roles with Tonali and Guimarães. He put Tonali as your number 6, and he moved Guimarães further up. And that's worked on. Since he's done that, Newcastle looked a different side. So he doesn't just improve individuals, he improves the team and everybody else, and his coaching skills. And like I said, I'm just delighted for British coaches, because I think British coaches get a real hard time and don't get the opportunities they deserve. And someone like Eddie Howe doing what he's done tonight will show people that we have got some good quality coaches in this country.
I think what Les said there, I was just going to come in and mention that, and with the England squad going tomorrow, Dan Bain going there, listen, Thomas Tuchel's a great coach. It's not ideal that the England national team doesn't have an English manager, and as soon as the job was up for grabs, if you like, the first thing I said, Eddie Howe, he's the best English coach out there. And why didn't the FA appoint him? Because he probably wouldn't have done this today, would he?
I was going to say, there's one set of fans here very glad that he wasn't appointed.
No, but listen, I think he's done a brilliant job. The way that he's more from what he was like at Bournemouth, where they were always seen as a team who conceded lots of goals, were open, great attacking football. He's got a great balance here at Newcastle. He's done a brilliant job since he come in. And yes, I'm disappointed, of course I am. But as I said earlier on, if there was anybody you're going to lose to, it'd be Newcastle, a club who've got huge, passionate support, has gone so long without a trophy. But also for Eddie Howe, I think he's the real deal.
It's finally quietened down here at Wembley. The Newcastle fans have left. Those players there now celebrating in the dressing room after winning the 2025 Carabao Cup and ending their trophy hoodoo, or even ending their Wembley hoodoo as well. This graphic will not be needed anymore after this evening, to the delight of Newcastle fans. 70 years on from their last win, they now have a trophy. But Arne Slot, though, runners-up tonight after what has been a difficult week. We can hear from the Liverpool manager now. He's with Patrick Davison.
Well, Arne, is it fair to say that we just didn't see the real Liverpool today? You weren't able to bring your best football?
No, I think the game went the way they wanted. So we played a game of football as they wanted it to be. And that's a compliment to them, because we didn't came into our rhythm. They were really aggressive, trying to make sure we couldn't bring the ball out from the back. And the moments we could, they defended really well in and around their box. And so yeah, it was the game went their way. Let's put it that way.
So did you get locked into quite a direct match? Were you maybe not brave enough bringing the ball out through their pressure, their high pressure?
I wouldn't say not brave enough, but they went man for man in a high press, and they have players that are very strong and good in the duels. So I think Dan Burn won every header and every duel he went for, including the goal he scored. And it's not only him. I think a very good game plan from them, and a deserved win for Newcastle.
How much of a problem were their set pieces? The tactic seemed to be to hit them set pieces deep and almost take Virgil and Konate out of the game, if you like.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But normally then the header is also quite far away. But again, the game went their way in the sense that we played the game like they would prefer the game to go. So there were a lot of free kicks, set pieces, and they are and were today really strong in that. And that also led to the first goal. And the second goal was the cross from the side. And again, they are taller, maybe stronger in the duels, heading duels. And both goals came from that.
So what could you have done differently? What could you have done to make it your type of game and not their type of game?
Yeah, then we have to be better with the ball, which is not so easy. But then the moment you do have the ball, you have to create more, and then you are always waiting for a moment, maybe where the game can go your way, where maybe a bit more space opens up. But if you're then just before halftime going 1-0 down, normally in a game like this, in the second half or in the end of the first half, it opens up a bit more. But now, of course, we gave them the positive mindset by being 1-0 up. And not long after the break, they made it 2-0. So that done, yeah, they're just going to fight even harder for every second, every ball. And we did have one or two chances, but altogether, Newcastle deserved to win.
Does Tuesday play a part in today, whether it's in terms of energy, emotion, mentality? Not at all.
No. These two games are exactly the opposite from each other. So you cannot compare these two games at all. All the things I've said about the game about Tuesday are exactly the opposite tonight.
But does Tuesday kind of knock you flat, going out of that competition, giving so much and losing such a good game? Is there almost a hangover today, I guess is what I'm asking?
No. Then that would not do justice to Newcastle. The game went the way they wanted it to be, and it wasn't about energy. Normally, energy you mostly see in your pressing part, but there was nothing to press because they played over our press, which was very smart and a good idea. And that's why I constantly keep repeating myself, saying that they deserved this win.
After the season you've had, I mean, it's gone perfectly, really, up until this week. Does it feel like, has it knocked you flat? Has it felt like it's come out of the blue almost?
No, because I knew the quality of Paris Saint-Germain. I also know how difficult it is to play against this playing style. And we started the week off by winning against Southampton, in which we extended our lead to 12 points. So it wasn't all bad what happened this week. Southampton was a good win. That's why we extended the lead to 12 points. Paris Saint-Germain, great game of football. Today, I don't think anyone that's a Liverpool fan was happy about what they saw. But yeah, that sometimes unfortunately happens as well, and it's not the first time that we have some difficulties with Newcastle, because the first game when we played there was similar to this one, was a real hard one for us as well.
How big is the job ahead then? 9 games to go in the Premier League. Obviously that one big prize still to go for. How big a job for you to pick your players up in, I think it's 15, 16 days time, and go again for what's left?
First of all, they go to the national teams now, and then when they come back, we've got a fantastic game again to play with Everton at home. So we know the importance of the upcoming 9 games. We know that we have to do certain things better, which is normal. But during this season, we've done so many things right. So if we are back in 2.5 weeks for the Premier League, we will be ready to face Everton.
Thank you, Arne.
You're welcome.
What do you want to unpick from that?
I find it difficult to be too critical of the team. I must say that's one of the worst performances I've seen from Liverpool in a cup final, probably going back for a very long time. But they've given so much this season, and probably in a position in terms of the league title where no one really expected. They've lost 1 league game. They've lost here tonight, and they've lost 1 Champions League game, really. I mean, they've lost in the FA Cup and maybe a dead rubber in the Champions League. But in the main, I think they've probably lost 3 or 4 games that they've really wanted to win all season. So I think what this last week has done is probably shone a light on where Liverpool still need to improve in. And I think the lack of pace in the team, I think, is glaring in the attack. And I almost feel a little bit sorry for Mo Salah, because he's taken a little bit of criticism after the 2 Paris Saint-Germain games, because he was up against possibly the best left-back in the world in Mendes, who was fantastic. He didn't do too much. He wasn't great today, but he doesn't get help off the other attackers. This is not like it was under Jurgen Klopp, where Mane could bail Liverpool out of trouble, or Firmino. The other attackers Liverpool have got are good players. They're not great players. And they've relied on him so far. So I don't want to see too much criticism for Mo Salah over this last week. What it's shone a light in is that Liverpool need to go and buy 2 attackers, not as squad players, possibly to play alongside Mo Salah, hopefully, for next season. So I think that's what's happened in the last week. I've been excited, thinking, looks like Liverpool are going to win the league, and there's still lots to improve. So I'm not just saying this on the back of the team losing, but I still think there's a lot of areas for Liverpool to improve, and I think they will in the summer.
He said taller, stronger, and when referring to Newcastle, and they were clever in their game plan today in going long, which gave Liverpool nothing to press. If you are an opposition manager going for, if you're David Moyes ahead of the Merseyside derby, are you taking note of that?
Well, they'll do that anyway, Everton. That's obviously.
Well, yeah, my point,
make
exactly,
it really difficult for them. But he stood next to you 2 guys, and he bumped into you, and he said there's going to be a lot of those sort of collisions, and that's something you have to always take into consideration. But I wasn't surprised about Newcastle play today, and I don't think for 1 second that Liverpool would have been. I don't think he wanted to take away anything from what they did. They played so well, but I don't for 1 second think that result on Tuesday, going at 120 minutes, extra time, losing on penalties, how tired and difficult it would have been to go again. And he went with pretty much the same team, but you've also taken out such a lot of their creativity about Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back, because he will just create one thing. I looked at Liverpool today and I just thought, where's that bit of spark, that creativity going to come from? They really missed him as well. Gakpo's obviously not quite right at the moment. But again, you can't take anything away from what Newcastle did. They were magnificent. But I remember I spoke to Jason Tindley before the game. He went, it couldn't have gone better for us, really. The fact that they had to go through the wire on Tuesday and make it so difficult for them, they felt they could use that to advantage if they started well and got after Liverpool, and that's exactly what they did.
I think a big thing this season that stood out and it's probably come back to bite him on the backside a little bit today. The manager, he doesn't change the team. Now we're getting used to the manager. We don't know if this is his way that he's always done, when he just picks his best team, and it's probably put Liverpool in a great position to win the league title. It also shows you that in this league as well, they almost look like they're running out of steam and legs, and the fact that he's very reticent to change the team or give the head to some players who don't normally play week in, week out, meant he still almost played his best team against Southampton, one of the worst teams we've seen in the Premier League. It was at Anfield, because he still felt, I can't take the risk in terms of maybe bringing players off the bench to play in this game. So that's something I think going forward in terms of improving the squad, so he can actually change players like Gravenberch, who looked tired today, Szoboszlai, McAllister. He never changes that midfield really, and again, that's probably something he's got to learn next season. He's got to probably trust the squad a little bit more, that if they want to go further in the Champions League.
The last time we did that, it got knocked out against Plymouth. So he probably thinks, can't really trust...
No, that was changing 10 players.
Well, I know, but Jay, if he leaves out a load of players today and they lose, we stand here and go, well, why has he done that today? So you can't really win, can you?
No, I'm talking about maybe changing 2 or 3 players and he plays his best team almost every game, and that's put Liverpool in the position that they are. But I think going forward, if Liverpool want to obviously go further in the Champions League, I do think he's probably got to be a little bit braver with his squad, but that will come with basically better players in his squad.
Everybody in football is guilty of this. You're 90 minutes away from glory, you're 90 minutes away from a catastrophe, you know what I mean? Like the roof's caving in and everything. Is his biggest task over the next 10 days or whatever, with players away on international duty, just to make sure everything just stays calm? They've got a 12-point lead at the top of the Premier League.
At the start,
not everything is caving in.
No, well, at the start of the week we were talking about them doing it, the possibility of them doing a treble, and within a week they're now just looking at the league, and fatigue and as you said, that game took so much out of them on Tuesday night. And coming here today, I was thinking to myself, Newcastle, if they could get at them. And if you're the manager, you're thinking, well, okay, we've gone out, but what better game could you go into today, playing in a cup final, to lift your players again? If it was a league game, you would have probably gone, changed 2 or 3 players. But because it was a cup final, you was probably thinking, your energy is going to come from that. So I wouldn't criticise him too much for not changing the team. It was when it started to go wrong, how quickly he didn't change it quick enough for me. He probably could have done it a bit quicker to get some more fresh legs on there. But at the start, I would have probably gone with the same side, because I would have thought probably they could get lifted.
Yeah, I mean, take nothing away from their manager. I mean, the job he's done has been phenomenal. I know they've had a disappointing week. Les is right. Treble at the start of the week. Now they're only on for the Premier League. But if you said to any Liverpool fan at the start of this season, you'll win the Premier League and nothing else, they would have snapped your hands off. They really would, because Jurgen Klopp was at the club for 8 years, and everyone was nervous. Going, who's this guy coming in? There's going to be a massive drop off. Panic stations. What's going to happen? He's came in. He's added maybe 1 player, Chiesa, I think it is. Not many players extra. He's worked with the squad he's been given. And the job he's done in the Premier League is just phenomenal. So you've got to give this guy great credit for what he's done.
I think what Shay says there is important. Even if you were Man City or Chelsea, who notoriously have won a lot of Premier League titles, you said that about any manager, you're going to win the league. No matter what else happens, you bite your hand off. But we're talking about Liverpool. They've won it once in 35 years now. So, I mean, the Premier League is absolutely massive to this club and what they could do, and it still is going to be, fingers crossed, if everything goes to plan, an unbelievable season, because we aren't a club, unfortunately, that have, in sort of the last 30 years, have won titles every few years. It hasn't happened, so it could be still a very special season.
They are going to celebrate long into the night. The Newcastle players and fans, I would imagine. Covent Garden and Trafalgar Square are going to be rammed for the second night running. The local boy Dan Burn and Alexander Isak with the goals, and they have their first trophy under Eddie Howe, their first trophy for 70 years domestically. And we often talk, don't we, about the Carabao Cup being a springboard, whether that be for a manager or a club, and what can follow afterwards. And certainly, if you were with us earlier, several of the players talked to us about this being a platform going forward, which shows they're not resting on their laurels. And I suppose the very next thing, Shay Given, they need to achieve is what we expect to be top 5. I know we've got the dotted line there below 4, but top 5 to make the Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be huge celebrations tonight, and I suppose international breaks come at a good time for Newcastle as well, because they can regroup, get themselves settled after celebrations, I'm sure, for the next couple of days. But look at that Premier League race as well for top four. It's a huge race that Eddie Howe knows how important it is, even for recruitment in the summer. What budget he's going to have, that'll help that as well. But his job's easier if he goes, we've got Champions League next season coming, we've just won a trophy, we want to add to that next season, and he's got some big games coming up.
And 5 of those 6 at home are against sides that are in the bottom half of the table, Les.
Yeah, you know, and I think there's always pivotal games in the season where if you win them, it just kicks you on, and you win your next 2-3 games because the lift that game gives everybody. I think this here today will give them such a lift to go into those last few games of the season that could propel them into that top 4 position.
He's got to keep them focused as well, don't he? Because there's going to be a lot of excitement.
You don't doubt that, though, do you?
No,
you don't doubt that.
You don't. I mean, I remember winning the League Cup many years ago, and we had won a couple of games, and then we sort of slipped off. And you just make sure that doesn't happen. They've got Brentford at home next game. Brentford have won their last 5 away from home. It's not going to be easy, but they've just got to make sure they stay focused. They're in a great position. He's got good energy about the club, and you can imagine if you say they've got lots of games at home, that atmosphere is going to be absolutely red hot.
I just think the magnitude of this game here today. I know what you're saying. Sometimes you win a game, and if you're expected to win that game, then you can go and you can take your foot off the pedal a little bit. But they weren't expected to win here today, and I think that'll give them such a boost that they'll go on and hopefully win those games that they need to get into that top 4 position.
Given what they've done, and given when you look at the financial constraints that so many clubs have operated under, what is it called? It's called squad cost or something next season, and PSR or something like that. But you would imagine that Champions League is probably imperative for them to build on this.
Well, if you remember last year when they missed out on, I think they had to let a couple of players go who they didn't really want to let go. You wouldn't class them as probably out and out first teamers at the time. I think Minter and Elliot Anderson. Yeah, probably squad players, but they're probably at a stage now because they've got some special players in that team that if they're not consistently getting Champions League football, they may have to lose one of those stars. We know the 4 or 5 who they are who are probably coveted by other clubs. I don't think that'll be the case this summer because I think on the back of this today and the scenes at the end, they'll all be desperate to stay at the club, and rightly so. But it's obvious now, not just for Newcastle, but any team now, you want to keep your best players and be competing year after year. You need Champions League football.
I think that's right. I mean, Guimarães and Isak, there's always chat about maybe they could be leaving. From your perspective, it's imperative you keep them, obviously.
I think Alex mentioned in his interview, he said this is the start of something special. That's what he said. That's what I was trying to get at. I didn't outright ask him.
You wanted him to say he was going to stay, didn't
and he answered
please stay.
He answered like a politician. He went some other different angle. But I think at the start of that, his answer was, this is the start of something for us to build on. So it gave me confidence that he'll be here next year because I think he's a huge part of the club. You want to go to the next level. You want to build your team around Alexander Isak, and I hope he's going to stay,
Yeah, and I agree with Jamie. They need to get it in there, but it's going to be about PSR, what they can do, because people are going to call him, and if they haven't got the money to go and strengthen that squad, they're going to have to sell someone. But sincerely hope it's not this summer.
You will both know, and this is the final point, I suppose, that not winning a domestic trophy for 70 years cannot be the fault of current players or you have to wear the history of your club, don't you? Yeah. But it affects you. And now that's been lifted.
Well, it does, because I've been there myself, waking up in the morning of a cup final for Newcastle, and you feel it as a player because it's been so long. You feel that expectancy. The whole Geordie nation wants you to do it, and again you lose at the end of the final, and you feel like you've let the whole city down. Now this group of players have done the absolute opposite. They had that pain 2 years ago by losing, and now they've got the absolute opposite, and they'll be heroes for the rest of their lives in Newcastle after this.
Yeah, for sure. We came so close to winning the league, didn't quite get across the line, and as you said, you feel like you've let down the whole town, everybody involved in Newcastle, and to see them win it today, I'm so delighted for them because those supporters have followed them around the country, up and down the country for years.